I've got a picture of fans, parents. Okay, and so, like, and I also, I also have, like, my Shocks headphones. That's how I'm hearing you.
Mic check, 1, 2,
Ooh,
1, 2.
I hear you through my computer now.
I'm gonna hang up the phone.
Okay. Check, check, check. Mic check.
Check 1, 2, 1, 2.
I hear you.
I hear you.
Bet. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my headset off. Okay. 11:29, you got me?
I got you.
Okay,
11:29 confirmed.
cool.
All right. I tell you what, mute, and I'm gonna mute for 5 seconds, and then we'll unmute to see if we're still up together.
Okay. I will remute when the clock turns 11:30.
Okay.
Great day for some championship baseball here in
Championship baseball is important.
Southern Johnson County.
All right. So you can still hear me?
Yep,
Okay. I'm muting until game time.
copy that.
All right.
Do we have any details of uh who's playing? Okay, we got our hula girl on the skateboard.
Hula girl on skate. No, I don't know, but I'm gonna ask for that information. Looks like we won't have a lot of time to get ready, but we'll see. Well, Kenichi, we're back at it. Another beautiful day of baseball. The screwballs and competitive edge. How about that for two names for some teams today?
I love it. I love the creativity and the uniqueness of it all.
Y- You know,
Gotta and love the uniforms as well.
if people are going toward that crazy, wild color patterns and things. If it works, it works. You see a lot of pastels and a lot of colorful things going on these days.
And we got a lead off single. Runner takes second.
So a great piece of hitting there. And when you see these newer teams, one of the things that coaches love to do when they're building their rosters, you'll see a team that's loaded with left-handed bats. And that's something that
Mhm,
a lot of people don't realize. A lot of these kids are not necessarily naturally left-handed batters, but there's such a demand for kids who throw right-handed and bat left-handed. So you'll
mhm.
see a lot of these kids at this age kind of start to make that transition and make that change into becoming left-handed batters. And so we saw a couple of left-handed batters to start the game here, and now we've already got runs on the score in the top of the first inning.
Yeah. Crafty piece of hitting, just basically reaching out, making contact, and lifting, the fly ball kind of over the shortstop's head and just kind of into shallow left center.
And it's key to be able to spread the ball all over the field. That's what some of your best hitters will always do. Find a way to hit in the gap, get those balls to fall where the defense isn't playing. And the most important part, Kenitra, is putting the ball in play. When you put the
Mhm.
ball in play, good things will happen for your ball club.
Yeah, just make contact. And that's the thing, if you're making contact, it means you're seeing the ball well.
And you can't take that for granted at all. Vision is so important.
First time through the lineup, both the pitcher as well as the hitters, you're just kind of feeling each other out, seeing tendencies, seeing what you can spot, and then just kind of uh it's just kind of an in-game scouting report.
Exactly, exactly, and that's one thing that you have to keep up with too. Because when you're watching these players, a lot of times when you're in these tournaments, you're seeing this team for the first time, and you're trying to get a true understanding of who they are and what their strengths and what their weaknesses are. And you have to keep that running tab in your head as a coach. When you go down and you see all these other kids playing baseball and trying to keep that running track, that's what it's all about. Up to bat now, we've got Caden Taylor. He's an outfielder here. 4 foot 8, 105 pounds out of KCK. And that's the funny thing about these kids look, they're so developed as athletes and they look
Absolutely.
so much more mature than what they really are. You forget how young they are, but these guys are phenomenal athletes to say the least.
Goes down swing to end the top of the first.
So Bennett Nook, the pitcher of record for the knuckleballers, gets that big strikeout to end the inning, but gives up a couple of runs here in the first inning. So when we come back, it's the bottom half. We'll see what these screwballs can get done here in the second half.
First pitch is a ball.
So we're in the bottom of the first inning, and Kenitra, you talk so much about these uniforms. I mean, you know what it reminds me of? A pack of downlighters.
That or fruit stripe gum.
Yeah, regardless, what's the old saying? You play good, you look good, you play good.
There you go. And you lead off you lead off with an extra base hit.
So these guys bringing out the big bats already early. They are not afraid to swing the bats there. That was the shortstop Bronx Gadsden. Get the game started out strong. Grayson Reed steps up now and a pickoff move. Oh, that was close. Pretty close.
And we have Colby Hayner on the mound for the Screwballs. What's the strategy here with a couple of moves to second?
Well, you just want to establish to the runner, hey, I'm not going to give you any extra real estate. I'm going to keep you close to the bag, and even when you're in scoring position, you don't want to let that leadoff runner, especially, get a little too much confidence out there. He'll take off in a second.
Infield single and runner takes off for home.
So that's one thing I like about this team. They are not afraid to swing the bats. And, station to station baseball, we saw a leadoff double followed up by another double. And these guys continue to keep the ball moving and keep the base runners moving. And that's going to be, that's going to make for a lot of runs in this ball game if this keeps up at this pace. And that pickoff, they are not afraid to try to sneak in and pick off the runner at second base. You don't really see that a lot, especially this early in the ball game when you're talking so much about pitch counts and things like that. You don't want that pitcher throwing the ball around too much early in the game.
Yeah, Grayson Reed reached base, with an infield single. Runner takes off for home. Throw goes home. That allows Reed to end up on second base. That one's in there for a strike.
So Bennett Nook at the dish now, batting in the 3 hole.
Finding your spots.
And you bring up a great point there, Kenitra. You just, as a pitcher, you just want to find your groove at this point. I just, I really wish he wouldn't pay so much attention to the base runners because the game is still so early. I would love to see him just barrel down and just attack these batters. And see, that's a prime example. When you start focusing on those runners so early in the game, it can throw off your timing, it can throw off your
Mm-hmm.
mechanics, it can throw off your delivery to the plate.
Yeah, if you're trying to whirl around and fire to second, then your visual zone, your visual strike zone gets altered. Aggressive base running plates a second run there.
Now that's the catcher in that situation gave up home plate, and we
Mm.
saw the strikeout, and he started to chase the runner down a little bit and kind of neglected the plate. And that's great heads up base running by the base runner to notice that he had his back turned to home plate and was drifting toward down the first baseline after the runner or after the batter, I should say. And so that's a great job of aggressive base running there by the Screwballs to notice that and they get a great read and to pick up that home plate was open.
Now Bentley Weatherford gets his chance to make something happen to add to the lead.
And we finally get to see the pitcher go back to the windup for the first time in a while. He's been working out of the stretch, and some pitchers don't work as well out of the stretch as they do from the windup.
Steps off the rubber, reestablishes. That one gets to the backstop.
Hayner, one of their more versatile players, he's pitching now. He also catches a little bit.
It's lifted
Foul now.
foul out of play.
Mhm. So it's a 2-2 count here. He'll be trying to put something in play, trying to make something happen, putting pressure on the defense anytime you're putting the ball in play.
Yeah, we saw with the previous batter, couple of back-to-back strikes, and then now it's like the control has shifted just a little bit. Couple of balls that were low and getting past the catcher. That one right over the heart of the plate. That will go for extra base hit, stand up double.
Yeah, just a great piece of hitting there when you're able to get your hands inside of the ball and drive it the other way. And that's exactly what he needed to do. I mean, you just stay inside yourself. You hear coaches all the time say stay within the baseball. And that was an excellent example of that.
Weatherford trying to distract, the pitcher, dancing around a little bit on the base paths, draws a throw.
And I'm surprised that every player that has gotten to second base, the pitchers made some type of attempt at a pickoff move at second base. You really don't see that very much, but then again, you don't really see too many doubles in the start of an inning
Mm,
like we've seen so far.
Another sharply hit ball. That'll drive in Weatherford.
Yeah, this screwball team, they brought the bats today, and that's another great piece of hitting. Tony Gwynn used to talk about getting the barrel of the bat on the baseball. So many times people want to throw the barrel at the ball. Well, these guys are doing a great job of throwing the knob, taking the knob of the bat to the baseball, which in turn gets the barrel through the hitting zone. And that was an excellent example of that. The way you don't throw that barrel because when you throw the barrel, you're gonna hook the ball. A lot of times you're gonna hit the ball foul. But when you throw the knob of the bat, like Tony Gwynn used to say all
Mm.
the time, it'll even things up to where you're actually able to barrel that ball up and put the fat part of the bat on the baseball. And that's what hitting is all about, taking your hands to the ball and getting the biggest part of the bat on the baseball. That was an excellent job.
A lot of attention being focused and a lot of energy being exerted to the runners on the base paths.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes as a young pitcher, you feel like you have to do too much and you have to put the put the game in your hands, and you don't necessarily have to do that. You just need to stay in command of all of your pitches, take a deep breath, relax, and let your defense get you out of the inning. And that's a mistake that a lot of young pitchers make. They feel like they have to do too much. They start overthrowing, especially when players get into scoring position. They feel like they're the ones who have to shut it down. No, all you have to do is throw strikes and let your defense do the work.
And so Rhett Glover is able to take second, advances to third with the throw in the dirt.
So, as the old saying goes, ducks on the pond. And this team, this offense, certainly has answered the call so far in the bottom half of the first inning, scoring at will almost, but more importantly, just putting the ball in play.
Here, Billy Roberts from Platte City. At at what point do you think that, maybe there will be just a visit to the mound just to settle everybody down?
I was curious as that as well. I would think that you would see a visit coming soon, depending on what happens with this batter.
Still only one out here in the bottom half of the first. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Full count.
I would love to see a pitch somewhere on the lower edge, lower outside pitch would be a great pitch here in this situation.
Roberts reaches out, and the throw to first is in time to record the second out of the inning.
And just like we talked about earlier, you don't have to do too much. Just throw a ground ball and let your defense work and let your defense get you out of the inning. So, second out of the inning, although it's been a long inning and he's thrown a lot of pitches, not only is he throwing a lot of pitches, but he's throwing a lot of pickoff attempts as well.
Mhm.
And that adds up, as you mentioned, puts a lot of strain on you. But nonetheless, they're back at it, one out away from getting out of the inning. With the edge putting up a four spot in the frame, you can only imagine what that confidence does to this lineup. When you're sitting there on the bench and your buddies are scoring and they're coming up and they're saying, "Man, he's throwing this or he's throwing that," and you say, "Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I like to hit." And so you're looking at that and all of the excitement that transpons through the dugout there. It's an exciting time when you come out and you were able to get out on top in the first inning.
Bang bang.
Like John Witherspoon, close play at first base, but regardless, it keeps the inning going, and that's exactly what the inside edge wants to do. You keep that inning going, get the momentum going, and sometimes it just seems like it just never stops.
Now pick off attempt. Now the runner in a pickle. And the throw is in time.
A
Nice piece of defense.
little surprised there. I did not see the tag there, but I guess
Little
they got him low down on the foot on the
swipe
instant
tag.
replay. Yeah. Now, if you'll notice, you'll see on the left hand corner where there's a little live stream. Sometimes you'll
Mhm.
see a replay that'll come up on your screen. So we don't want to confuse anybody. If you thought you were seeing things, you're seeing things twice. Just take a look in that left hand part. You'll see something that says replay. So in that replay, we saw them put the tag there. But the cardinal rule is if you're going to get picked off, just get thrown out at second base. You never want to get thrown out at the base that you were originally at.
Mm.
So he was on first base, and you don't have anything to gain. At least, the gambler's move is if you're picked, just keep on running and slide into second base, make them make a perfect catch, a perfect throw, and a perfect tag. as opposed to just getting in the caught in that rundown for no reason. Now there are certain times where you want to get caught in that rundown if you've got a
Mhm.
man at second or a man at third and you want to stay in that pickle as long as you can. But in that instance, when there's two outs and you just got caught, you just got caught red-handed. So you may as well just keep going and go ahead and just try to slide into second base because again, there's three things that have to happen. The first baseman's got to catch the ball from the pitcher. He's got to step around you as you're running in the baseline to second base, and he's got to throw around you, and that shortstop is going to have to make a catch and put the tag down. So your chances are better off if you just going on and just sliding into second base.
And maybe the hope is that, there'll be an overthrow back to first.
Exactly, exactly. But you never, and from the defensive side of it, you always want to run the runner back to the base that he came from. And so, from a defensive standpoint, I thought the guys did a great job of cutting the field off and getting him back to first base and making the out at first base. So that's textbook for a defensive squad. But the Edge score 4 runs in the bottom of the frame, and that does wonders for your confidence. And now we'll see how they play out on defense here in the second inning.
But for the screwballs when your pitcher labors, a little bit in the first inning, to be able to have defensive connectivity to end, that the first, uh,
Mhm.
does that settle them in now coming in offensively?
It does speak volumes to what can happen. Baseball, especially, is a game of momentum and game shifts. And that could be something that really sparks this team because, okay, we've been out here in the heat playing defense, backing up our pitcher, but that does a world of confidence to the pitcher when he knows, hey, my guys are focused, they've got my back, and I can lean on them to get me out of trouble. And that's exactly what they did. So the pickoff play that they had been working on finally came to fruition and worked.
And the screwballs get their leadoff man on and then steal second. So now you have a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, I got a feeling we're going to see a lot of stolen bases today and a lot of ball movement in this game as well.
Ball is bobbled. Infield single puts runners on the corners.
And that's the thing. There's so much baseball still to be played. Even if a team has a great first inning, there's still going to be a lot of stuff to see and talk about. Stolen bases, guys moving up into scoring position, never giving up. So this is going to be a fight to the end.
Yeah, you runner swiping second, so you kind of diminish the double play opportunities there.
Yeah, you don't have the double play, but presence of mind for the catcher not to overthrow or do anything
Mhm.
crazy when there's a runner on third base. You don't want to give up that run. So smart play. And as a catcher, you've got to be a wall, as they say, and block that plate. And they call it what the tools of ignorance when you want to be a catcher and you put on all that stuff. I tell you, catchers are by far the smartest guys on the field. And some of the smartest players to ever play baseball, big league, or whatever have been the catchers. Look at how many managers used to be catchers.
Mm. Cooper McGinnis takes his lead off of second. It's in there for a strike.
And even though Bennett Nook is has missed a couple of spots, that's not necessarily a bad thing because a lot of times people forget pitching is not about throwing a meatball down the middle of the plate. He's doing a great job of staying high, staying low, working the corners in, out. If you've got a fastball, there are 9 places in a grid that you can throw that ball. So you've got 9 pitches in one, and he's moving the ball well, up, down, in, and out. And that's what you like to see. Now, are they biting? Not right now. He's pitched himself into
No.
a little bit of a jam, and we'll see how he can pitch his way out.
And this could be a big opportunity now to kind of close the gap. We have bases loaded now.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting with an opportunity to.
Screwball continue to keep the line moving.
So big strikeout there for Nook, and we had a bases loaded walk, which scored another run. So we'll get all that updated in just a second. A little bit of a power outage. But power at the plate is back at it once again, and we're back on the air, King Truck.
Explain the moxie of being of knowing that you have bases loaded, but being able to lock in and strike out the next batter.
It takes a lot of confidence when you're on that mound. And, if you've ever stood on a mound, you feel as though you're kind of on an island. And you have to be able to block out the noise and you have to block out all the distractions. And that's what some of the best pitchers can do. They don't let the pressure build up. They're able to seize the moment. And when you do that, your concentration level goes to a whole nother level, if you will. And I think that some of the best pitchers are the ones who are able to make things happen by drowning out the noise and feeding off the pressure. And when you can feed off the pressure, that can make you a dangerous player in any sport.
And there we get a strikeout to end the top of the second, but KC Screwballs get 2 runs back. And so now trailed by just 1 run going to the bottom of the second inning.
And thinking of that name, the Screwballs, I don't want to give any kind of credence to any type of movies or entertainment, but there's a great movie that I saw called, I think it was called Screwballs. Was it Screwballs or was it Juiced? It may have been Juiced, but it's a great documentary on Netflix about the Juiced era in baseball,
Mm.
and it's played. They're telling the stories of the Balco days and the labs and all the players named in a lot of those incidents. but they do these reenactments and these recreations, and they use kids as the actors in these reenactments, and it is by far one of my favorites as far as a documentary goes and the reenactments. And man, when I tell you the kids that play the different baseball players, spot on, and it's a great movie in my opinion. But you know, definitely a horrible subject, but a realistic time in baseball history, and that just made me think of that for some reason. But I thought the movie was called Screwballs, but I think it's called Juiced. One or the other. It's a great movie. Everybody should watch it. And in the words of the crime dog himself,
Fred McGriff.
I give it my full endorsement. Not too many kids are gonna get that reference. You have to be of a certain age to remember a good old Tom
Tom
Mansky.
Mansky.
That's right, boy. We're giving away all kinds of free product advertisement today.
Uh,
Back to back to back, national champions. The good old days. So the Screwballs have really cut the lead here, fought back. They're trailing by one as we move to the third inning.
so now, as Colby Henner works his second time through the batting order, as a pitcher, is it better to have a short memory and just like think, hey, fresh inning, or do you take the knowledge of what he did in the first inning or second inning and just kind of like makes the necessary adjustments?
You know, that's a great question. And I think at this age, these kids are just trying to work through the inning, pitch by pitch. I don't even think they remember what the other guy
Mm.
did or what he did last time or where, what did I throw him. But let's just face it. I mean, the inside edge brought out the bat. So pretty much everybody was hitting everything they were throwing up there. So I don't think they're going to differentiate which guy did what last time. Now the coaches are keeping a running track of that, and in this day and age of electronic scorekeeping, and you have charts and things that are accessible to you and through Game Changer and things like that, and they're keeping track of what happened last time. The coaches do, but for the most part the kids do not. They're just trying to fight through the inning.
And remember, it was Kingston McCullum who was at the plate uh, last time when his teammate got caught in the rundown. So he will lead things off.
Great point, great point. Taking the show on the road this week to Kansas, and again we've done a lot of True Journey events this year already. One in Phoenix, Arizona, in Chicago, Illinois. We're in Kansas this week. We'll be headed to Nashville. Also, the big True Journey All Star Weekend is going to be in Kansas City this year after 2 years in Dallas, moving it to Kansas City this year. And then we'll also have one in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada
Mm,
in January. So, looking forward to seeing you at plenty of those.
July.
You hit it on the head there. I tell you, had a chance to go to Vegas for Super Bowl week, and When I tell you
Mm,
Super Bowl in Vegas, it's kind of like you go to these places and you say, how is it that we were not thinking or doing this? And great facility out there. And when you talk about
mm,
excellent hospitality there, and it's not just the Vegas of Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack. I
mm-mm,
mean, there's a
mm-mm.
lot of family friendly things that you can do out in Las Vegas. So if you're interested in one of our events in Las Vegas this year, give us a call and check out our website, sports.com, for more information.
And, and we had talked about it. We kind of, theorized about, having a meeting on the mountain, which we thought it would happen earlier, and we see when it just happened. And, it's nice that both the coaches as well as the players kinda come in, but little shaken right now as we have a balk called.
Yeah, and sometimes those mound visits can definitely help, but you have to wonder sometimes, does it break a kid's rhythm? Does it make him overthink sometimes? But sometimes he does need that break. So coaches have to be strategic a lot of times when they take those mound visits, and they don't want to slow down any momentum, think too much.
Pitch is low in there, but back to Vegas. How do you feel, Oakland A's relocating?
I can't think of any other team that has relocated more than the Athletics. In Philadelphia, they moved to Kansas City, they moved to Oakland, and now they're going to move to they're going to move to Sacramento if you want to count
Yeah.
that, and then they'll go to Las Vegas. And the beautiful historic Tropicana Hotel is on the Vegas Strip. It's going to
Mhm,
be torn down to make way
mhm.
for that new and impressive ballpark there. It'll be right across from
Allegiant,
Ex-
yeah,
Excalibur,
yeah,
and I think it's great though. I think it's great for baseball, and I think it's great for the city of Las Vegas, who's really come up and stepped up to become a major player in the sporting world.
yeah.
Allegiant Stadium is a beautiful place, and they have totally welcomed the Raiders in with open arms, and so they can do that with the A's. I think that Las Vegas will be the playground of sports entertainment for quite some time.
And so now we will have a pitching change. Julian Jaklovich will now warm up. But I mean, should the Oakland A's I mean, I know historically, there's something to go with the name, but should it maybe become change their name to the Nomads?
The traveling aides.
The
Hey,
Travelers?
yeah, the travel. Arkansas has a team called the Travelers, a minor
Yeah,
league. But yeah, Oakland just needs a shot in the arm, and they need an opportunity to show that they can get back to prominence. I mean, you think about the Oakland A's of the 1970s and the A's
sure.
of the late 80s and early 90s with the Canseco's and the Bash brothers, and you want to bring that back. And so I think Oakland just needs a change of scenery. I mean, I'm sure you've been to the Coliseum, correct?
No,
In
I have
Oakland?
not.
I will say with confidence, it's one of the worst stadiums I've ever been to, and
But
surprisingly,
as you were saying about, Las Vegas becoming a player in professional sports, the opposite kinda can be said about Oakland.
this is
You know
true. Yeah,
so like you lose NFL, you lose Major League Baseball, and then, Golden State is just kind of, the Bay,
yeah, yeah.
generally speaking. Although with the WNBA, awarding an expansion franchise to the Bay. So, so maybe there's new life, being birthed in professional sports, in that region.
Yeah. And as we wait for our signal to reconnect, I know we're talking about Oakland and the Bay, and I, I got a crazy story about Oakland when I went there. The first time I went to Oakland, uh, I was coming back. We were on our way to the airport. We stopped to get gas, and there was a lady in a Cherokee, and she's in this gas station, and she hops in her Cherokee, and she's chasing us down. And I'm like, this lady is legit following us aggressively. I mean, it was like being in a, a car chase in a movie. I mean, like the Dukes of Hazzard. I mean, we go through a light, and she was like right behind us. And so finally, we pull up to a light, and she pulls up beside us, and I roll down the window. I'm like, what? What, lady? What is it? She goes, hey, you want to buy my CD? I'm homeless. I need you to buy my CD. And I thought that was the weirdest thing ever.
She was hustling.
This is true. Hey, I got a call from the boss man. I'm going to put you on hold just a second.
Okay. Runners on the corners for critical edge.
So 7-3 now. Edge continues to make waves.
One ball, one strike is the count. Nice stretch there by the catcher. Full count. Here's the pitch from Julian. And we have a hit by pitch.
Yeah, that's one of the things that as a pitcher you can really get frustrated with when you have a full count and you end up hitting the batter. It's almost like a free pass, literally. A walk is a free pass enough, but when you
Mhm.
actually hit the guy, you're starting to worry about your control and you're worrying about, your spots and hitting your locations. That's a big issue. So things are starting to turn around for Inside Edge once again.
I'm curious of that throw to first. If the bases are full, did he think there was going to be, generating a double steal attempt?
You know, there's a lot of wide open strategies, if there are any strategies at all sometimes. Um, so, yeah, typically you don't see somebody try to pick off the runner that's behind. It's usually the lead runner that you're trying to go with, or you're trying to do a third to first pickoff move. But yeah, that kind of caught everybody by surprise. But sometimes the surprise element is what makes it so special.
3 balls, 1 strike, bases full.
I say you give him the green light here. If there's something there to groove, you go ahead and groove it and let it rip.
Push another run across via the base on ball. And that's going to do it for Julian's stint on the mound.
Screwball's just trying to stay within themselves and stay in this game, bringing in a third pitcher in the inning, you have to be conservative with these arms because after all, it's a long weekend
Mhm.
and these guys are on a pitch count. So when you start getting a little bit wild and can't find your rhythm and can't find the strikes and you can't find your zone, then these coaches have to be really responsible. It's not a time like in the big leagues where these guys are just given time to work it out or work through it. No, you really don't have a lot of time because you want to throw 20-25 pitches at the max because you need to have save these guys' arms for the weekend, especially if you plan on playing on Sunday for a championship. That's when you're going to need the most innings that you can. So hats off to the coaches for noticing that and don't want to give these guys too many pitches.
What is the mentality, let's say, for the outfielders? You know, hasn't been a lot of action their way. There have been a lot of pitches this half inning. How do they stay engaged?
It's a situation where those outfielders have to stay on their toes, and it's something that has to be an internal fortitude type thing. You have to be able to turn it on, and you have to stay focused and stay ready because, especially as the game goes on, as it gets warmer outside, that's where the critical play starts to happening between the ears. Those outfielders have to stay focused and locked in.
Because just like that, with one swing, it comes their way.
It does, and they're ready for whatever comes their way, and a lot of movement on that one. So play at the plate.
Yeah.
It looks like an out. A lot going on in that one play. So those outfielders have to be on their toes, like you said, because that ball's coming, and when it's your turn to shine, you got to be able to turn it on and be able to perform.
But earlier in the inning, we were talking about the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's who are in Kansas City this weekend to face the Kansas City Royals, and it was a nice. It's a great weekend for the Kansas City Royals. It's a reunion weekend of the 2014 ALCS team. They had just kind of a mixer, if you will, Thursday night, and guys getting to trade stories of, hey, remember a decade ago of what it was like making it back to the postseason, struggling through the regular season, but really, getting hot in the postseason, getting all the way, to the World Series, and how that kind of fueled the World Series run the following season. But the guys being honored last, and bobblehead given away of Kelvin Herrera, and Kelvin Herrera throwing the ceremonial first pitch to Wade Davis. And hey, it has been a decade. So Kelvin didn't quite have the same strength, to get the ball across the plate. But still, we remember the days of HDH,
Yeah.
and what a great time, that was of Holland and Wade Davis and Kelvin Herrera. And but it was great just to see, all not just all the players back, but as well, Ned Yost, is back in town this weekend, and Dayton Moore, who was GM at the time and is now as a special advisor to Chris Young, with the Texas Rangers, coming off of that World Series run last
Mhm.
year. So all the guys are back, and bring out the trophies, and just bring out the camaraderie of being back together for the first time in a decade. I mean, guys, Salvador Perez, who is still playing, but was a part of that special run. So it was nice that he's just kind of like the bridge between the legacy of bringing the glory back to Kansas City, and is still now using his knowledge and experience, with this year's team that is much more competitive than they have been.
Yeah, he's a special player, and he's been the glue to that organization for so many years. And he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore, as far as I'm concerned, of some of the greatest Royals players to ever play. And to be able to cover that 2014 team and subsequently that 2015 team that have
Mhm.
that bitter taste in their mouth from 14. And to this day, my kids are not allowed to say Madison Baumgartner in our house because of his dominant performance. And who could forget the great play of Alex Gordon, that last play where he was held up at third base and everybody
Yeah.
said, "Oh my God, you should have seen him." But all the statistics and every accolade thing that you could the metrics say that he would have been thrown out at home, but and it was the right call. But it was such a hard pill to swallow. And there's a great picture that I have in my office that somebody caught of me sitting in the dugout afterwards, and it was
Mm.
just, I was just so distraught
Of
and
what
just,
could have been.
of what could have been hand in hand, and but for the Royals to be able to persevere and come back, not only to win the World Series, but just to be there the following
Mhm.
year, back to back years. It was a very special time for Royals fans in Kansas City.
And then also, this year, Lorenzo Cain, the ALCS, MVP of 2014, he was inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame this year. So great honor for him.
One of the nicest guys from that team to be around, Low Kane. Solid hit back up the middle as the screwballs start to try to make up some ground here, down 6 runs with Taylor back at the plate.
That one is just foul.
You brought up one of my favorite words a few moments ago about moxie. And I love the word moxie and how it describes so many of these young players. And we hear it all the time. Baseball is a kid's game, and it's so good to
Mhm.
see these kids having so much fun and having so much, just enjoying baseball, enjoying life, and that's what it's really all about. So even though we talk about these kids are competitive and they're playing travel ball and they're going all over the country and their parents are spending a lot of money, at the end of the day, when you boil it all down and roll it all back, they're kids playing a kids game, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
We got runners in scoring position for Taylor. Oh, sharp piece of hitting, sending it down third base line. And just very aware of the open base and hustles to wind up on second base.
And that's one of the greatest things that you can see a player do when they hit that ball down the line. They're hustling out of the box. I mean, so many times you see these kids, they want to hit the ball and watch the ball, watch the ball, watch the ball. No, you're sprinting down there. You know you're going for two out the box. And when you're hitting it sharp down the line like that, that should be your mentality. I'm going for two. I'm going to make them throw me out at second base. And Taylor did a great job of getting his hands through the zone, lining that ball down the line, and just continuing to go straight to second base.
Ball is lifted. Harmless fly out there, making quick work. when you play, sometimes upwards of 3 games in a day, do coaches, do the parents incentivize their players with, with reward at the end of the day? Hey, we'll take you to Quick Trip and, and get you a Frizzoni, or we'll take you to, end of the day, we'll go back to the hotel, we'll get in the pool, or, just something just to keep them because they're just, it's easy. Yes, it is, the boys of summer. Um, and they play for the love of the game, but it can wear on you when it's just kind of like, hey, we got 3 games.
I gotta tell you, when I was coming up, my weakness was McDonald's cheeseburgers. Like if if you told me you could get me to do just about anything
With the
by
promise
waving
of a cheeseburger.
with the McDonald's cheeseburger, and then even up until I can remember, even when I was in high school, my mom would bring back. This is not. We're not talking about a sack full like you get at White Castles or Crystal. This was McDonald's cheeseburger. She'd bring me about three or four,
Uh-huh.
just to bribe me to do things or whatever around the house or whatever.
And it
But
worked.
that was, oh my goodness. It's just something about the onions and the ketchup, and I don't know. I had an affinity, an affection for McDonald's cheeseburgers, man. Especially like I can distinctly remember like in '92, which it was an Olympic year, and that's when they started making the double cheeseburgers and the double.
Mm.
And there's something about those onions and cheese, and yeah, I can still remember that.
I mean, if that still holds true, for some of these players, there is a McDonald's just across the street from the ballpark. It's like up,
Yeah,
it's just across 135th Street, and just go over one block.
man. Now you sound like Bobby Womack.
Yeah, there's, and maybe whether it's a national thing or a regional thing, there's also a Whataburger across the street.
Oh boy, yeah. Get it, get it, get it, get it. I tell you, everybody cashes in on these tournaments some kind of way.
Yeah.
But remember, like in our day, the one of the biggest incentive uh, products was M&Ms, and there was a
Mhm.
point where I can remember being maybe 12 years old, and there was like a M&Ms commercial where the guy was talking about the different colors of the M&Ms that he eats, and he's like, yellow is for doubles, brown for triples, or
Mhm, mhm.
whatever it was, and it was one color. He said, "Yeah, I keep these because it's green. I think green means downtown." And that's when he would hit the home runs. He'd eat the green M&Ms. And of course, truth in advertising, we'd all have to go buy a box of M&Ms
But
before the
you
game.
know, before the phrase influencer, became
Hmm.
trendy, that's what it was.
Yeah. Then you had to get a pouch of Big League Chew,
Oh yeah.
break preferably.
Put
Yeah.
it in your back pocket.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sunflower seeds?
I never was a seeds guy. I never did
No.
seeds. No, no, it wasn't my thing.
Like, my brother played little league, and my whole thing is, basically for every foul ball, you take it to the concession stand
Hmm.
and you would get one of those kind of the Minute Maid triangular popsicles.
Oh wow.
That
Okay.
you could trade in the foul ball for a free Minute Maid popsicle.
Hey, baseballs are a hot commodity. Don't underestimate the value of a baseball. They need them back. Speaking of needing back, we saw an excellent bunt there, and that's how you get the inning started. Bunting is a lost art form, and boy, that youngster laid down a beauty to get on first base.
At this age, how much do these teams work on executing a bunt?
I don't think that they do as much, and I think it's because, to be honest, the coaches don't necessarily know how to teach the bunt anymore. If
Mm,
you really want to know the truth, I think that everybody sees the home run, and you know it's not manly to bunt a ball. But I'm telling you, I used to tell kids all the time, having a bunt or knowing how to bunt is like having a base hit in your back pocket. And
mhm.
anytime you need it, if you're good enough at bunting, if you need a base hit, you can just pull it out of your pocket and get the job done. There have been many times where, as a player, we would be in the top of the seventh inning or the seventh inning, and we needed a base runner, and the only thing to do was to bunt. And we would bunt, we would get on base, we would move base runners, we would manufacture runs, and that's how we would win ball games. So don't discourage kids from learning how to bunt. It's one of the best things that you can teach the kid, because not only does it come in handy if you need a base hit, but in the event that you need to move runners over as well. So a great bunter on your team is like having a great insurance policy.
I mean, especially if you have speed at the plate.
Speed
You don't
helps.
necessarily need power. You lay down a bunt and just outrun it. Get you an infield single, and it's just like, hey, whether you drive the ball to the outfield or whether you drive it to first, hey, if you reach safely, you did your job.
That's it. That is it. Never underestimate putting pressure on the defense. That's what it's about. You got to keep that defense moving, move runners over. Like for instance, you got a runner here at second base. If you show bunt here and that third baseman pulls and comes in, then that base is wide open for that man to slide in and, and steal third base. So,
Look at, I
but
mean,
these
look at
guys are doing a great job of putting the ball in play and advancing base runners the old fashioned way.
base is full now.
Great play there by the third baseman to haul it in for the out. And this is where the defense is going to have to buckle down too. When your back's against the wall and there's the bases are loaded.
Mm, wild pitch and a run scores.
Yeah, sometimes you overthink, and when you start to overthink, you can find yourself overthrowing. And when you overthrow, that ball is you just hold on to the ball just a little
Mm,
too long.
hmm.
And when you hold, that's when you start getting those wild pitches in the dirt. Another looper to the outfield. So inside edge continues to bring the big bats and be the bullies in this one.
Runner scampers down to third.
It's actually a really good stop there by the catcher that time to save a run. Catching is such an integral position, and you have to be able to move your feet. Believe it or not, you got to, even though you're down there in that crouch, you got to be able to slide, shuffle, make the necessary
Mhm.
reads, make the necessary blocks. And so many ball games are won and lost at the catcher position, whether it be pass balls or whether it be the wrong pitch call or play calls. These guys are under a lot of pressure.
And even when movement is hindered, with all of the catching gear, or the view is obstructed at some time, with the mask.
Mhm. And some of your best catchers are they're in every play. You see a ground ball, they're hustling back there to back up the first baseman on a lot of these throws, and a lot of times that doesn't get seen
Yeah. Driving in another run there.
with just pure hustle
Yeah.
at that. And we've seen him on the mound, we've seen him at the plate. He's done a lot of things for this inside edge team. Talking about the talking about Nook, was it Nook?
Yep.
Yeah, the edge just trying to blow this game open here in this inning.
Ball is lifted back to the mound. Tough play. So in
There
in
are
that instance, when it is popped back to the mound, what is the responsibility of the infielders to
those
communicate?
in the infielders are always charging toward the ball. And in a situation like that, you saw where he kind of lost his balance there because he was
Mhm,
backtracking over the mound. And that can actually be quite dangerous, to be honest with you, because you're already going back. And if your momentum takes you back, you can trip over that mound. And we've seen some unfortunate things happen in the past where a guy can, roll over and injure himself, bump his head, concussions, things like that. So, uh, the infielders have to charge fully, and then you've got to watch out for them as well. So, but they
mhm.
have precedence over the pitcher in any kind of ball, whether it be in the air or on the ground. They can always call the pitcher off. His momentum is keeping him going forward, and for him to have to reverse that all of a sudden to go back, bad things can happen in that situation. But looked like I thought that was going to be a glove to hand transfer to where he
Mhm.
dropped the ball, but obviously he didn't have control of the baseball when he caught it there. So runner was safe.
And another infield single.
Tough play though by the pitcher.
Edge situational, 2 outs, but still being able to keep the line moving and to get runs across. Looking for the force at second, but the runner beats it there.
Not a bad heads up play to be honest with you though, to try to beat that runner because his momentum was taking him towards second base. So it's a lot easier just to kind of go ahead and try to touch that base before you try to make a wild errant throw before you set your feet. So it's one of those things in baseball where he just couldn't get there in time.
Ball's lifted just right to the edge, of the dirt, falls in. Another run comes across.
Now my assumption there is that Edge scored more runs in that inning, so where they're just going to flip flop them to kind of
Mhm.
keep things moving.
Ball
Actually,
game.
that's the ball game. So I guess my guess was incorrect.
Well, the offensive explosion, took a very close game, and Edge was able to break it open, in the fourth. And congratulations to them and the celebration of what they were able to accomplish.
Yeah, so my assumption there was actually that they had actually scored enough runs to spread. So with the
Mhm.
16-14 or 16-4 um, score there,